Hello, today is Wednesday, June 26th, and welcome to episode 352 of Fault Lines, the National Security Institute's podcast that gets you quickly up to speed 3 times a week on the national security and foreign policy debates shaking up America. I'm joined today by NSI's Deputy Executive Director, Jessica Jones, NSI Fellow, Amy Mitchell, and my fellow Senior Fellow, Bishop Garrison. Today we are going to talk about the sweetheart deal that was given to Julian Assange, the criminal who put lives at risk in Afghanistan, who stole documents from the DNC, who falsely claims to be a journalist, who for some reason is the hero of a bunch of Looney Tunes in this country, and who amazingly has gotten Joe Biden, Donald Trump, and RFK Jr. to all appear to be on his side. What is the deal exactly? Well, he went to the Northern Marianas, which is ostensibly part of the United States, and pled guilty to one charge under the Treason Act related to Wikileaks, the organization he founded, publishing many, many secret U.S. documents, by the way, to the advantage of Russia and China and dictators all around the world, undermining U.S. national security, putting lives at risk in Afghanistan. Was anyone killed because of what Julian Assange did? Probably. We don't know that for sure because the intelligence community has not disclosed that. But he did very, very bad things. He is a very bad person. There's a whole bunch of other stuff he's been accused of and may have gone on trial for. But now he is going to be a free person back in his home country of Australia, where this is a political issue. We're going to get into that. Bishop, I want to throw it over to you. I think this was a terrible deal by the Biden administration. I would say that no matter who did it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, great to be here with you guys. This is going to be a spicy one.
Spicy Wednesday.
Spicy Wednesday. So first of all, let's go ahead and kind of level set. Julian Assange is a criminal. He's a bad guy. He's terrible. No one should be celebrating his release in this regard. He's done untold amounts of damage to the national security apparatus, not just in the United States, but internationally, broadly, with the way he went about this. We have Reality Winner. We have Jack Teixeira. We've had others who have leaked information for a variety of reasons, regardless of what their reasoning may have been. But they've leaked top secret information, and they have been held properly accountable for it, or are being held accountable for it. Julian Assange, has not. The basis for which he went into hiding even what is erroneous to begin with. He was going to be put on trial for rape and assault allegations, and he exhausted his ability within the UK legal system to not be extradited back, to not be held accountable for that trial. And then he utilized the WikiLeaks argument as a reason for him to go into hiding into the embassy. So everything about him drips down as someone who is not wants to be, or believe they should be held accountable. That is one thing I think we all can generally agree on. Part two to this is, I would argue, or I would at least ask the questions we kind of were in our little mini green room here beforehand. I don't know what else could have been done in this situation from the U.S. perspective, because the continuance of the situation was doing active diplomatic damage to us behind the scenes. It continues to damage our reputation internationally, and it causes a distraction from a variety of very real world problems that I believe our colleagues are going to address in their remarks. So I will hold my tongue on that. But I don't see a world in which the United States, we were going to get anything better out of at least getting a legal agreement, a legal finding from him, an admission of guilt that he was guilty of the things that we were saying. Now, granted, as soon as he gets off the plane in Australia, he's going to wave his hands and say, none of that was true. I just need to do what I did in order to get away from the evil U.S. empire. But that was the best, in my mind, we could have done. I do not agree with the framing that this is somehow Biden supporting him or Biden agrees with him. I think, actually, surprisingly, that every DOJ, to include Donald Trump, has tried to do something to hold him accountable. So I do want to say that. I'll get off my soapbox now.
All right, we got a little fault line between you and me, Bishop, on the sweetheart deal aspect.
Outfit, because that blazer
Thank you.
is
Thank you.
amazing. For those
Thank
who
you.
can't see it, it is gorgeous.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Worth every penny. Amy, Julian Assange is a coward who was unwilling to face the consequences of his actions. He refused to set foot in the continental United States. He refused to fly over American airspace. This is a guy who wants to dodge accountability for his actions, who is a sleazeball, who's been accused both of terrible things, which Bishop referenced. Also, when he was hiding from authorities in the Ecuadorian embassy in London, he let his cat poop everywhere and didn't clean up after it. This is the
That's a
kind
new
of person.
fact.
Yeah, this is the kind of person we're talking about. What are your thoughts about this matter?
And
Listen,
cats are really clean, by the way, so that's crazy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You said it at the beginning, this was a terrible decision, but I just want to caveat that with this is a terrible decision in a long line of terrible decisions that have been made over the last 3 years. You know, Brittany Griner, Afghanistan. I mean, the list just keeps piling up. And the whole, point of our diplomacy is to tackle hard issues, Bishop. Like, that's what we pay our diplomats to actually do. So here we've given this deal to this guy who got, leaked national security secrets. And then we're holding others accountable who have done the exact same thing, but they're not getting sweetheart deals. And then to top it all off, my favorite part of this is Wikileaks is now crowdsourcing this to help pay him for his flight back to Australia. If you want to give money to somebody, I've got a long list of charitable organizations that actually need the money, unlike a millionaire who's flying first class back to Australia.
Jones, we could go on here about this terrible person. Give us a little perspective, please, on some of the other issues that maybe we should be more focused on.
It's interesting when you read the news stories on this. No surprise, a lot are lauding that even pleading guilty to one charge may endanger freedom of speech moving forward, right? And that's a lot of what the headlines focused on. I think the more important story that actually came out this week when it comes to freedom of speech is the start of the trial of Evan Gershkovich, who is the American journalist, actual journalist, accredited journalist for the Wall Street Journal, who is being held in Russia on charges likewise of espionage. But on the other hand, he faces up to 20 years. We don't actually know, there's no publicly known information of what conduct he is being charged for. So, you had Julian Assange, who was afraid to come to the US who would have due process here in the American justice system. We have an actual journalist, an American journalist held abroad. We have no idea what he's really being charged with, what the conduct is. His lawyers aren't allowed to make any public statements. We don't even know if US embassy personnel are allowed at the trial. We don't even know if they're there. So thinking about contrasting the two individuals, their conduct, what they're being charged with, and what they're facing, I think that's a much more important case and a much more important statement that that the world can make when we're talking about who respects freedom of journalists here in the world. I don't think we need to worry about the US. I think we should be focused on places like China and Russia.
All right, I'm going to, because it's Spicy Wednesday, I'm going to roll this into a larger critique that we were, again, kind of talking about in the green room.
National security leaks,
yes. Lack of accountability in the national security system, not necessarily about the terrible decision-making on Afghanistan, but specifically about classified information. President Biden was let off for his mistakes. Former President Trump, looks like he's going to be prosecuted at some point for his mistakes and terrible behavior in this area. There have been spectacular leaks from very low-level people in the system. No heads have rolled. No one has been fired. Our ambassador in Australia, Caroline Kennedy, who was approved by the U.S. Senate, is out there saying that people should be pardoned for stuff like this. What the heck is going on in this administration? There should be accountability for the poor management of the system and the lack of prosecution of people who have done bad things. Bishop, feel free to
I will.
react.
Thank you, Les. Surprisingly, I have a dissent on this. Well, first of all, I'll say that the leaks have long since been a problem within the United States government. We are seeing some efforts at security personnel reform. I in my day job at INSA, we work very hard on a lot of these specific issues to ensure that people have the correct clearances and also the correct access at the correct time with the correct need to know. I think a lot of that is appropriate, particularly when you see the Teixeira case. A big part of it was at the unit level on two separate occasions. He was not held accountable for his activity. He was going into a skiff. He was taking notes. He was told to stop. He didn't stop, and no one did anything about it twice within his chain of command. So you're seeing it's not just at the highest levels, but you are also seeing that the information, the photos for the Trump case as a part of the a motion yesterday, a response. The special counsel released a bunch of photos, and you had literal socks and undergarments on top of top secret classified information. So yeah, we've got a problem here that we need to get people to take it seriously. Now, how you go about doing that, it's not going to be more policy. The policies exist. It's the implementation of policies, and it's the culture around what it means to safeguard this type of information. That's what needs to happen. And people have to be held accountable. I absolutely agree with that.
Wait, Les, also, I'm surprised you didn't do a quick reaction survey, because you brought up, the Biden administration going soft on Assange, but also you alluded to Donald Trump saying that he would possibly pardon Assange. So I'm surprised that you didn't ask us over or under on whether we actually think he would follow through.
Look, I condemn all of them. But, Joe Biden's in office and is poorly managing this. People should be fired. I think Caroline Kennedy should be fired as ambassador to Australia. It's embarrassing.
That feels a little
embarrassing to me. And
I'm going to push back, but I do think we got to have a more serious conversation around the how to properly hold and maintain classified information. I can agree with.
But here's the issue.
You demonstrate that, by the way, by heads rolling. Sorry, go ahead, Amy.
Not one person in this administration has been held accountable in the last 4 years for anything.
That is extremely hyperbolic. So
we've evacuated how many embassies around the world and asked Americans to leave? I mean, our security situation is dangerous right now. And the fact that we are not applying the law equally, right, across the board on this extremely important subject is problematic, because what we have to stand on the world stage is our integrity. And when others see us not applying equal law across the board, they're going to call us out on it. And that's more of a danger to me than diplomatic efforts with Australia,
didn't
right?
just start within the last year or 3 years of this administration. So they're...
Listen,
no, we've got.
We're talking about this particular case.
To Amy's point, we've got one administration in office. They got to start holding people accountable. All right, that's a wrap. Thanks so much to Devlin Burney, Claude Jennings, and the NSI staff for their help in producing today's episode. The winner of our special Fault Line swag giveaway was Patrick Piniella. Thank you, Patrick. And thank you to everyone who participated. If you want to see more giveaways, be sure to leave a comment in all of the various platforms upon which you find Fault
That's how
Lines.
old people say it. Leave comments across various platforms.
Via CompuServe,
what is
perhaps.
the plural of platform?
American Online.
AOL. America Online. Join us again on Friday, June 28th, for another episode of Fault Lines, the National Security Institute's podcast that gets you smart fast on the national security and foreign policy debate shaking up America. Fault Lines is now on YouTube. I think we have been for like 3 years. So check out our channel for a video of today's episode. If you like what you heard or saw, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.